What? What do you mean we're live? What are you doing to me?
I think we do a cold open.
Are you kidding me? That's the worst thing you've ever done to me. I'm waiting for the intro, looking at my phone. You're the worst.
I was ready to cut the video if you started doing something bad or,
We're not a good friend, bro. First off, we're just in the green room, and I'm like, oh, I was about to tell him something. I'm like, wait, I can't tell you that. I'll save that for on air. I was just saying, I go through like 2 boxes of these a day. And because I quit smoking, and I have the best intro. I mean, it's the worst. I had no idea what's on. I really hate you guys. I hate being on screen alone as it is.
I know, that's why I did it.
So I'm like, I go through 2 boxes of these a day. He goes, I can't wait till they find out they're carcinogens and you get stomach cancer.
I did not say it.
I said you basically said that. I'm like, that's good. I quit smoking and I get stomach cancer. No, so dude, my wife is, when I say uninformed, like she doesn't know anything that's going on at all. So she just like, she'll hear things from her friends, but never, like, she doesn't watch the news or anything. I feel so awkward that we didn't have an intro. This is weird.
Should we play the?
Yeah, let's start at least the car crash video. I mean, we got to give everybody we got to do something.
Okay.
Then we'll get into my wife's uninformed worldview because it's kind of funny.
It's funny. Okay, let me get everything ready here, and we'll have a nice refresh.
Yeah, car crash.
Okay, here we go.
All right, let's go. Now that's a proper intro, and that's what happens when you send your wife to Home Depot. I thought I'd get something out of that one. All right. You threw me off with this whole intro. So my wife gets her friend tells her, is Anthony going to work tomorrow? And she's like, what are you talking about? Why would he not be going to work? She's like, you didn't hear about all the terrorist threats in the city tomorrow? So my wife calls me panicked, worried that I'm going into go into a terrorist attack tomorrow. I'm like, what? I'm like, relax. I'm like, calm down. Everything's fine. Where do you get your news from, woman? She doesn't know anything. She's like, I heard.
Okay, but here's the thing. She fulfills your ideal of a woman perfectly.
Could you imagine coming home to a MAGA chick? Like, honestly, I would rather. I really think having like a MAGA wife would be more annoying than an AOC.
It would be bad.
It would be so annoying and obnoxious to come home. Like, I deal with this garbage all day, watching news, checking Twitter. The last thing I want to do is come home to that. That does not sound in the slightest bit appealing. So no, I enjoy that my wife does not pay attention to anything going on in the world. She is solely dependent on me for pretty much everything. You bring up the marriage advice video?
Well, I just want everyone to see.
First rule. Don't want to find a girl that's into politics. Don't turn it off. Turn it off. I can't watch it. Those early videos are so embarrassing for me to watch, man. Those early videos, like I tried going back and watching our Make Halloween Catholic Again video.
Yeah.
I was so like overexcited in my laughing. I just, it's so cringe to go back and watch it, man. Thank you, Tyler. These bums watching. What do you mean by MAGA wife? I mean,
like Lauren Boebert.
Yes, like I would never want to come home to a Lauren Boebert, or obviously, or a even like a Marjorie Taylor Greene type who just knows everything going on, loves Donald Trump like die hard. No way. I'm good with that. But okay, so we got a few things we're going to go through tonight. The first is I had a couple of things I wanted to discuss. Do you follow Tom's Digest on Twitter?
I do, ever since you said we might feature the tweets on the show.
Okay, so
it's funny because half of his tweets piss me off.
Yeah.
The other, okay, no, a third pissed me off. A third, I'm like, okay, and another third, I chuckle at.
Dude, listen, I've been following him for a while. He's half the time you don't know if he's Mike Lewis, and the other half you don't know if he's Peter Kwasniewski. Like he has like really base takes, and then he has things that really just challenge you, and then
it's very bipolar.
It almost seems like he's schizophrenic, right? But I think he's funny, and he makes some really valid criticisms of the trad movement. So one that I thought was hilarious. Go to the
Which
first
one are we doing?
Go from the first
14th
one. Yeah, the 14th century one, because that one made me laugh really hard.
Okay, let me share this.
I'm trying to find it on my phone.
Here we go.
Oh man, my eyes are
terrible.
terrible.
Make this bigger.
Yeah. All right, so 14th century Catholic doesn't like Pope, convenes a counter conclave, elects another Pope, gets half of Christian powers behind them, starts a war. 21st century Catholic doesn't like the Pope, pretends to cry while jet setting from plush conference to plush conference and making cartoons and videos.
And he makes clear who he's talking about here.
Now, listen to me. The thing is, I would like and retweet so many more of his tweets if he didn't mention specific people, right?
Yeah.
Because first off, I'm friends with most of those guys. I really do like them. And go to the other 14th century one, because that's the one that really, he says, let's see. Fine. All right. So for all their pretend medievalism, these people don't have the pizzazz and determination of a 14th century Catholicism, where they would just call a counter conclave, elect their own pope, say, "Catch me outside." How about that? To Francis, and let the chips fall where they may. And it made me like embarrassed that like we don't do anything more than just complain on the internet.
Well, we don't have the power to, like, we don't have the authority to.
I actually brought that up with the Schneider interview.
With what question?
I said, I said, somebody was goofing around the other day that Catholics today, all they do is go from conference to conference, things like that. Like, I think really the only thing we can do as laity is maybe do processions and things like that.
Processions, penance, reparations, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no Christian powers to get behind you anymore, right? Like there's no king of France who will depose the Pope for us like you had in Borgia's day.
Hold on. You're forgetting someone. We need to get Mel Gibson behind us.
There's a chance of that happening.
No, right? It's not out of the question anymore.
And then wait.
What other tweets are we pulling up here?
Wait, there was one. Hang on.
So he
did like a trad appreciation tweet too.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Which was good, right? But the idea that you don't know where he's coming from sometimes, like there was one that he said, us not being able to laugh at ourselves.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And if you know what, you might be able to find that on my timeline because I responded to that from.
I'll find it here.
See if you can find it, because I said I'm trying to break that stereotype, because it was actually he mentioned Dr. Kwasniewski in that one, And the thing is, I'm reading Dr. Kwasniewski's book right now, and it's phenomenal.
Which one?
It's the one that you told me to get. Is it
the Once and Future Roman Rite?
Once and Future Roman Rite. And it's outstanding. So the thing is, but that's why I like that he wrote that appreciation tweet, and he even wrote some good things about Dr. Kwasniewski today. There's something to be said about like the being too uptight is a trad thing.
Yes.
And taking ourselves too seriously, which is why I really try to never take ourselves too seriously, because I'm just some stupid construction worker from New York, and I don't think anybody ever could take me seriously. So part of it is just self-awareness.
Dude, this guy tweets a lot. I can't. Where is this thing?
Go in mine. Well, I tweet a lot too.
You tweet a lot too. I figured this was
bad.
Just keep talking. I'll find it.
I'm not good at just talking by myself. Yeah, there's just something to be said about whenever, even the response video. Oh, so like he said something about Lofton recently, because Lofton's doing a takedown of orthodoxy for Catholic Answers. And the thing is, I almost never want us to be in a position where we are dependent on this for income. Right?
But you
like
also say you want this to be our job.
I do.
How
and
does
I
that
don't.
make sense?
I know. I do and I don't, because I see what happens to guys that do this for a living.
Yeah.
Like being a professional Catholic it's almost a death knell to your faith.
It does definitely seem that way, doesn't it?
It just seems like it becomes a job to you. And when we talked to Keith Nestor, he said that, right? He was talking about when you're a pastor, you're preaching at your service every week or whatever you're doing. You're preparing for your sermons. When you go home, you don't even want to deal with the faith, because that's your job.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to you don't want to have home and work mixed up. You want a separation of home and work. That's why I feel bad for people that work from home.
It depends. I mean, I think you can make a workplace at home and kind of separate that. I'm giving up and looking for.
Yeah, give up. Forget it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I just thought that he's one of those guys that makes very poignant criticisms that are worth paying attention to. Like, we should always be self-aware. And
you just in general, I mean, that's just a good rule in life.
Just be self-aware. Don't take yourself too seriously. Be willing to make fun of yourself a little bit. I mean, that's basically
I've always figured it, if you can't laugh at yourself, don't laugh at anyone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
if you're going to dish it out, you better be able to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then me and you had a little argument over, it wasn't an argument, but all right. So I
want to turn it into an argument for clicks.
Yeah. Cause I think it's good to argue once in a while. So I said I would play devil's advocate on this tonight. Do Muslims and Christians worship the same God?
No.
That's just it. Just no.
No, we're done. That's it.
Okay. Now, I want to hear what Nostra Aetate actually says on it. Do you have it?
I can look it up real quick.
Look it up, because I want to hear what the church actually says.
Not the church.
The council.
That council.
What that council says. I want to actually hear what that council says, and I want to try to do the squaring of the circle and try to see if it works. Because here comes Big A, deep breakup. So my point is, they claim to worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right?
Yeah, I will agree with that.
That's who they claim Allah is, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So my thing is, they have a very drastically different and flawed understanding of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but it is not some other God. It's not Jupiter. It's not like, what did you say? The Zoroastrians. Why wouldn't we say they worship the same God? Because they're claiming to worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, even though they have a very different understanding of him. And I would say completely false understanding. But do the Jews worship the same God as we do?
That's a tougher one. So here's the comparison I would make. Let's say my favorite food is an apple.
Wait, Patricia's saying it's Abraham only. I don't know anything about Islam. Understand that. I'd never read the Quran, so I don't know how many of the Old Testament prophets they have. I know they have Moses, right? Moses is one of the prophets they have. So you guys have to forgive my ignorance here. I'm not speaking in any kind of position of knowledge. I'm just trying to give this thing the best light possible to see if it works.
Okay, so here's my comparison. Let's say I say my favorite food is an apple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's say you say your favorite food is also an apple. So then we could say that both of our favorite foods are apples. But what if what you actually think is an apple is by nature not an apple? Let's say it's actually an orange. And you're calling it an apple, but it's actually an orange. Do you and I have the same favorite food?
Oh.
So now how does that
they have very
compare
different attributes, right?
Well, they're just by nature completely separate, right? Like in Aristotelian philosophy
is Trinitarian.
If we're talking about God, yes. So the God we worship is by nature a Trinitarian God. God doesn't choose to be a Trinity. God just is a Trinity by God's nature. The God that they worship is to them by nature not a Trinity. Matter of fact, they exclude the possibility that God is a Trinity, that Jesus is God. They exclude that possibility entirely. So then what they think is God is by nature entirely different than the God we believe.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that, man.
So then they do not worship the same God.
All right.
By nature.
He has very different characteristics than we would say.
It's not a characteristic. Nature is not a characteristic. Nature is the essence of the thing. You don't have the characteristics of a person. You're a person. Monkeys might have some characteristics of a person, such as fingers, hands, ears,
okay. All right.
eyes.
So let's go. Did you find it in Nostra, Aetate?
Yes.
Let's read that.
I'm not going to throw it up on screen, but I'll read it.
And I want to also, I know, sorry guys, Pope Pius X had his catechism talks about it too, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so why don't we compare those two and just see if what we're saying jives? Because this was a big argument on Twitter the other day where
Still is.
It pretty much is all the time, where there are a lot of Catholics will say that the Catholic Church teaches they do, that the Quran teaches they do. So what am I missing here? Because I don't know anything about Islam really.
So this is Nostra Aetate 3. The Church regards with esteem also the Muslims. They adore the one God, living and subsisting in himself, merciful and all-powerful, the creator of heaven and earth, who has spoken to men. They take pains to submit wholeheartedly to even his inscrutable decrees, just as Abraham, with whom the faith of Islam takes pleasure in linking itself, submitted to God. Though they do not acknowledge Jesus as God, they revere him as a prophet. They also honor Mary, his virgin mothers. At times, they even call on her with devotion. In addition, they await the day of judgment when God will render their deserts to all those who have been raised up from the dead. Finally, they value the moral life and worship God, especially through prayer, almsgiving, and fasting.
You say there's an error in that?
They do not adore the one God. They adore what they believe is the one God, but by nature is an entirely different God or concept of God.
Okay, so if there is one God and he is the creator of heaven and earth,
but he is Trinitarian. They
not acknowledge that. Would you say the people of the Old Covenant do not worship by nature
the people of the Old Covenant definitely did. Are you talking modern Jews? Because that's a different question.
Modern Jews, yeah.
I'm not sure. I think it's a little different because modern Judaism does not explicitly exclude the possibility of a Trinitarian God. So, for instance, they still believe in a Messiah. Whether they believe that Messiah will, I would say those that are hardline and say no, that the Messiah is not the Son of God, or, that there cannot be I would say anyone who says that a Trinity is impossible does not worship the same God as me, whether they call themselves a Jew or Muslim or whatever.
Okay. All right. So you're saying the church erred in that statement.
I'm saying that this document has an error. I'm not going to say the church erred.
Okay. Yeah. So that document has an error.
Because the other Lumen Gentium claims that these documents can have errors. So,
okay. So what does the Pius X Catechism say?
Pius X. Let me pull that up here on my phone. It does say something similar.
Guys, I'm trying to play the modernist tonight. Settle down. I see everybody's agreeing with Rob. I get it.
Okay, so
we're just having a conversation. Everybody settle down.
So it's going to be Pius. It starts with Pius X, 224. Who are they who are outside the true church? Outside the true church are infidels, Jews, heretics, apostates, schismatics, and the excommunicated. 225. Who are infidels? Infidels are those who have not been baptized and do not believe in Jesus Christ, because they either believe in and worship false gods as idolaters do, or, though admitting one true God, they do not believe in the Messiah, neither as already come in the person of Jesus Christ, nor as to come, for instance, Mohammedans and the like. Now here's the thing. It does say that they may admit one true God. It doesn't say that they admit the one true God.
Okay, I want to hear it read. I don't want to hear your interpretation of it. Read it word for word.
I did.
You added stuff in there.
I at the end, yeah, but okay. Or though admitting one true God, who do not believe in the Messiah.
Okay.
As the Mohammedans.
Not even just that. Like, just the Pius X Catechism, like calling them infidels. It's like, when has the church spoken? The church doesn't speak like that anymore, man. I miss those days.
Yeah, so I don't know about. So the Pius X does give them a little leeway, but like I said, it doesn't say that they admit the one true God. It's just they admit one God.
Yeah.
So honestly, like Zoroastrians, I would not say a Zoroastrian is a pagan.
What is a Zoroastrian? I don't even know anything about that.
It's kind of
you twisted my words around in the text. You said you said.
Of course I did. I was trying to win the argument.
You twisted what I was saying completely around. You're like, well, they don't have the same religion. I'm like, I didn't claim they have the same religion. I said they have a very different.
No, you said the faith of Abraham, and I said no, they do not have the faith of Abraham.
You said they do not have the religion of Abraham.
No, I said faith.
All right, we don't have to. We're arguing semantics here, but I know what you were implying there, but I didn't
say
that.
Jacob wants to know where in Lumen Gentium does it say the other documents may contain errors. So I'll bring that up real quick, actually, because I read that today, and it was so I found this on the Meaning of Catholic website on theological notes. Right. So the Pius X is saying that they are monotheists.
But my point is that they claim to worship the God of Abraham. So it's not just some generic monotheistic God,
right, but
it's the God of Abraham.
In our little thought experiment, you claim to like apples, even though it was actually oranges. So that doesn't mean much. Okay. So, the appendix section of Lumen Gentium says, taking conciliar custom into consideration, and also the pastoral purpose of the present council, the Sacred Council defines as binding on the Church only those things and matters of faith and morals which it shall openly declare to be binding. The rest of the things which the Sacred Council sets forth, inasmuch as they are the teaching of the Church's supreme magisterium, ought to be accepted and embraced by each and every one of Christ's faithful according to the mind of the Sacred Council. The mind of the Council becomes known either from the matter treated or from its manner of speaking in accordance with the norms of theological interpretation. Now, the norms of theological interpretation are the theological notes, the levels of magisterial authority. So it says, for Vatican II, only the things which Vatican II says are binding, which would be like a solemn anathema, only those would actually be, say, dogmatic. Otherwise, anything else it states needs to be read according to that teaching's theological note.
Okay. I'll buy it. Sedevicante says that's the Michael Davies argument, I guess.
What is?
That like that those things don't have to be considered binding and things like that, I guess. So yeah, guys, I'm just
you just wanted to get me riled up tonight. That's what you wanted. I know it.
Because I saw you arguing with the guy from CBS podcast, and we were both on that show. And Rob's like, I want my show taken down. I don't want to be on the same show as him. I'm like, settle down, bro. He's had James Martin on, and he had E. Michael Jones on back to back. Like, how does he get those two guests lined up? That's wild, right?
It is interesting.
And then you saw James Martin posted a picture with Cardinal Mueller today, and you could just see the trads going insane, right? Like they're probably like, Mueller, we're all, because he's going on with Raymond Arroyo and saying some good things, and then he takes a picture with James Martin. I caught some grief today because I said that my wife and I have had a friend who's gay, and we've known him since childhood, and I didn't banish him from my life. And people were giving me crap for that. And it's like, first off, I'm probably the only healthy male relationship he has. And I'm constantly like, we don't ever condone anything, but I'm always trying to urge him towards coming to me. Like, he's not in a relationship or anything. The guy's like practically in a wheelchair. He's in such bad pain and bad shape. So even at my daughter's Sweet 16, he was there, and it was just me and him talking. And I was trying to actually talk to him about like abstinence and, taking time away from looking at anything. And I tried to have a really in-depth conversation with him just to talk to him about the benefits of chastity and things like that. And I'm always trying to pull him. Can Anthony and Rob just form a pilgrimage to Mecca already? Oh man, there was something else I wanted to oh dude, do you know what I've been watching every day now?
Oh gosh,
Code Blue Cam on YouTube is just the greatest YouTube channel ever. Code Blue Cam. So it's all just different people getting arrested. It's like basically watching cops, but I've been watching just
you do it for the drunk women, don't you?
Dude, watching women get arrested.
Well, that
for
came
DUI.
out that came out a little wrong.
Yeah, no, watching women get arrested for DUI is one of the funniest things I've ever watched. They all think the entitlement is just amazing to watch. Like, they don't think they can be arrested. Don't touch me. You can't touch. You're not getting in my car. Code
Super
Blue.
sad thinks you're watching people have heart attacks.
No, it's people getting arrested. That and watching some of the brothers in the hood get arrested is really. You just see how 90% of arrests could be avoided if you just comply.
Yeah, but that's not always. You know what Mark would say.
What, allegedly?
Don't comply unless you legally have to. Don't give them a thing.
But listen to me. 90% of it is, sir, can I see your ID? No, I don't got to show you ID. I don't got to show you ID. Now you're going to jail, bro.
There are times you do not have to show them ID though.
Okay, but if you're drinking and driving, if you're driving, you have to show ID. Okay.
Yes, that's true.
The funniest thing is, okay, the brothers will be driving on the highway doing 95 and a 60 with a kilo of blow in the back of the truck.
Yeah, but they don't know what the numbers on this. Never mind.
Stop. You're sick. If you're driving with a kilo in the trunk, why are you doing 90 and a 60, bro? What are you thinking? And then they get pulled over and they're fighting with the cop and arguing with the cop. But
I think you're being very charitable by assuming they know anything about the metric system.
Okay. Well, what I will say is, I watched a couple that were blatant illegal search and seizures because the cop will, on a hunch, go get the dog the drug sniffing dog, and he'll bring the drug sniffing dog over, and the dog will do nothing out of the ordinary, and he'll go, well, the dog acted a little funny next to the driver's side door, so now I have a right to search the car. And it's like, what? That dog
Yeah.
did nothing unusual, and you just claimed the right to go inside this guy's car. And the cop's hunch is typically right, because usually they got a rental car for 6 hours to drive 300 miles there and back. So the cop's like, "What are you doing? 90 and a 60 on a 6-hour rental?" It's like you're almost saying, "Hey, look at what I'm doing." You know, it's crazy. So yeah, guys, I would just say comply, make your day a little easier. Just, you're not going to beat the cop in the moment. Just deal with it. Blood or crypt, choose your side, Anthony.
Okay, I count to 3. And
No. I'm not
and
playing
see what
that
happens.
game. I work in the city, bro. Don't even play that game. You have no idea. Listen to me. The Bloods are everywhere in New York now, man.
So you would choose Blood?
I would have to, just because they're everywhere in New York now, man. You have no idea. It's crazy. You would think it's LA.
Yeah.
There are Bloods everywhere. All you see is red colors everywhere in the city now, man. It's crazy. What did I say? What else did I say we were going to talk about?
Anthony wearing red, Rob wearing blue. Choices
Look.
have already been made.
It actually is fitting for that. There was something else I wanted to talk about.
Well, what all did you send me here? There's a video of the
yeah,
show.
that's in the WhatsApp, but I actually meant in the title originally. I said trads to uptight, Muslims versus Catholic. The procession in New York.
Oh yeah.
So I'm really mad I didn't know about this ahead of time.
Well, it was for a weird event.
It's for Napa Institute, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Do we have any footage of that?
I mean, I can find it on Twitter. It's all over Twitter, obviously.
I thought I sent it to you, no?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I did.
You send me everything.
No. All right, here we go. Okay, so priests, nuns, and laity participated in a massive Eucharistic procession on the streets of New York City on October 10th. Approximately 5,000 Catholics attended the procession hosted by the Napa Institute for this year's Principled Entrepreneurship Conference.
Not us.
No.
At least the principled part.
We have no principles or scruples. Father Mike Schmitz, the director of Youth and Young Adult Ministries for the Diocese of Duluth, opened the conference with a standing room only mass.
That's my diocese.
Yeah. And at St. Patrick's Cathedral, standing room only. That's a big church. Well, 5,000 people there, right? Followed by the Eucharistic procession and benediction. In his homily, Father Mike said he initially did not want to lead a Eucharistic procession. His students at the University of Minnesota Duluth often ask if they can process with the Eucharist on campus, but he also says no. He fears.
I agree. Well, okay, you give the reason. I know what his.
He fears the general public will not understand the Eucharist or how to react when the procession passes by. When I think of a Eucharistic procession, no, I want them to know this is Jesus. I want them to understand. No, this is the love of God for you in the flesh. This is the love of God who loves you to the point where even if you were his enemy, he poured out his life for you. In fact, that's what the scripture says. What God has asked us to do tonight is what he asked Jonah to do, Father Mike said, referencing the October 10th Mass readings. Go out there and take me with you. Go out there to a world that doesn't notice me, that doesn't understand me, that doesn't accept me. Go out there and just take me, meaning the Eucharist, with you. Father Mike then explained why he wants Jesus to come in power and glory. We will all know in that moment when God comes fully revealed and fully present. Everyone will notice. No one will miss him and no one will misunderstand his love, he said. We will have either chosen to be his friends or we will have chosen to be his enemies. He then concluded his homily saying the procession was an incredible opportunity to be Jonah and Simon of Cyrene. Let this procession be your choice to say, God, I want you to recognize me in your glory, so I am going to cling to you. So let's see.
I do agree, especially with not doing it on at least most college campuses. I mean, with the type of people that are in colleges, there's a good chance someone's going to try to, desecrate the Eucharist or something like that. It's probably not worth it.
There were some good images of young people just kneeling down before it. All right, let's play the video real quick and then we'll get into the. That's pretty amazing. Is that it?
You there?
Did I do something?
No, that was it.
Oh, I thought I did something because I tried to enlarge my screen and then I don't know, the whole thing went blank. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And then somebody said something like, "Oh yeah, this is how to convert young people by getting old white men in robes to march through the streets of New York City." But it's like, yeah, why not?
No,
I
mean, that's what young people want.
More than that, it's so different from what anybody is used to seeing religion look like. Because we don't do this as Catholics anymore. And I think part of the reason we're seeing so many things in the culture go haywire is because the church stopped doing those things. That used to be regularly done. When you see in Spain, they do that. They have those giant processions. The entire town comes out. You get 50, 75,000 people marching in procession. They have the statues of Our Lady going through. There's nothing more beautiful and Catholic than that. And I think the guy said something along the lines of, what was the word he used? Oh man, what the heck did he say?
Performative.
Yeah, those who like performative Catholicism got upset at my tweet, and it's like, performative Catholicism. That is you get people who say they're spiritual but not religious. You are better off being religious and not spiritual.
Yeah,
you are better off going through the performative stuff and having the sacraments, even if your heart's not in it, and God can still work through the sacraments. I mean, not if you're receiving in a state of mortal sin, but you know what I mean? Like, being exposed to the sacraments on a regular basis is something that can spark your heart, and you're better off doing that than being one of those people who are spiritual but not religious.
Right.
I think that's why so many young people are in love with the traditional mass. It's something performative that looks so different from anything we've ever seen. Whereas the new mass is very much generic. Would that be a good word?
I would say what people call performative is just putting your spiritual life into action. It's making it visible. It's sacramental. That's what sacrament means,
I would think
right?
it's having a sacramental worldview.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Having a sacramental worldview where you understand that God became incarnate. So why would you not want to incarnate him into the world at every opportunity you get?
People who say they're spiritual but not religious really are just saying that they're too big of a pansy to actually live out their convictions.
Aaron, that is the most cringe thing. I mean, I hear it all the time. I actually have Protestant family members that say that it's not about religion. I've heard people say that Jesus came to abolish religion. And
you mean like the who was that?
The Chosen.
Oh, yeah, the team behind The Chosen.
The Chosen. So that Jesus came to abolish religion. And you must have a grave misunderstanding of everything, because nowhere does it say that. People will say, I'm trying to think of the right words to use here. Where does it say that Jesus came to undo the covenantal structure of the way God works, right? Like the way God hands down. In other words, if everything in the Old Testament prefigures the new, the Old Testament priesthood is there to prefigure the New Testament priesthood that's going to come.
Right. The Catholic priesthood is not an echo of the Old Testament priesthood. The Old Testament priesthood, like you said, is a type of the New Testament priesthood.
A type and a foreshadow of the priesthood that comes in the New Testament. The only reason there's an Old Testament priesthood is to foreshadow what is to come.
Like, in a sense, the New Testament is less of a fulfillment of the Old Testament, as the Old Testament is just a prefigurement of the New Testament.
Yeah. It's kind of like saying,
I mean, it's one in both, but it's
kind of like when you say God is not like a father. It is, I am like a father. He's God, like all fatherhood derives from God, right?
Right. My fatherhood is just an echo of his,
of God's fatherhood, something like that. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. how especially lately with all the craziness that's been going on with the Middle East situation, you're just seeing so much wacky Protestantism. But the spiritual but not religious thing drives me
you're
crazy.
seeing a lot of wacky Catholics too, who are more or less proclaiming like dual covenant theology, which is just heresy, quite honestly. Like,
yeah, Michael Brown, Dr. Michael Brown said, if you think that God doesn't have something, some kind of covenantal promise for the Jews outside of Jesus, then you believe in replacement theology.
And it's like, yes, I do.
Yeah. When God
except the church didn't replace Israel. The church is Israel, and the first Israel was just a type of the church. That's all.
100%. Yeah, they left. Israel just continued. It just continued, and they broke off and left.
To be honest, they were no longer Israelites. They gave it up.
Yeah. I know that's controversial to say, and we probably get a strike for that. The other thing is, our Michael Hitchborn video got taken down.
Yeah. So, what YouTube, I put it on Twitter, but what YouTube said to me in that thing. So it says content inaccurately, and it doesn't say like at this time and place, this is what you said or did wrong. It's just like, here are some guidelines you may have broken. It's like, I know what you're trying to tell me, but it says content inaccurately presented as documenting human rights abuses in a specific location that is actually content from another location or event.
Which is absurd.
Are they admitting that CNN video was staged?
I think that's what they're doing. I think that's what they're saying. So we showed two videos. One was the Protestant crazy, preachers, and the other one was the CNN video that we opened with. And it's got to be the CNN video,
right? It doesn't make sense for that.
Yeah. So there's a couple of ways you can. Well, first off, if you guys join our locals, you can still see that video for free. If you join our locals for free. The other place you would see it is Spiritus. It'll be up.
Spiritus, it's already up. Yeah.
It's also going to be on all audio formats. So if you listen on Spotify or Apple,
and we are appealing it, and we should have an answer in 24 hours.
In the meantime, we're going to put up an edited version where it's only the segment, the creation myth and all that stuff, because that was one of my favorite shows we've ever done.
Yeah, that was better than. That was awesome. It was just fun.
It's just fun and unique and different. So we will get that back up. The other thing we're going to start doing is anything that's on locals now will stay on locals for free. If you guys are catching the live show, you will always be able to see the full show if you jump over to locals for free. After the live show is done airing, we'll probably start putting our locals shows behind the paywall. So if you guys catch us live, you'll be able to see the whole thing without paying on locals. But after that,
you still won't be able to comment on locals. That's just how it works.
Yeah, it's just how it works. Now we're going to leave a cheat code. We will always put every full episode up on iTunes audio, where it's Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever you. So if you listen to the audio version, don't even worry about this. You'll always get the full episode. Because we want to, at least if people can't, afford to support us on locals, we want to make sure you guys can see it. What happened?
Just hold on the comment. Here we go.
Avoiding Babylon hates broke people. No, me and Rob just listen. We put a lot into this, and if you guys like our show, come on, it's $5. You think about it, it's like 35 cents a day. We're asking 35 cents a day. Come on,
is it 35 cents a day?
I don't know. What's 30 divided by 500?
One thing's for sure. You're not someone of the old covenant.
I can't do the math in my head.
10.5. It's less than half of that. It's 15 cents per day.
15 cents per day, guys. I think it's if you buy Starbucks, or something like that kind of even a Dunkin' Donuts coffee, it's how much a cup of coffee costs now.
Oh gosh. It sucks that I see him in YouTube and then I have to wait like 10 seconds for.
Who, Mark? Okay.
Hold on,
Wait.
hold on. Play the Sarah McLachlan song.
For only a cup of coffee a day, you can support Rob and Anthony.
Since when does Sarah McLachlan have a weird British accent?
I don't know who's. I don't know. I just know
You
that's.
you don't know the song?
Why? I know the song, but I don't know Sarah McLachlan's accent. I don't remember. It's been
She's
a long
Canadian.
time. Oh, she's Canadian? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta find it.
And then we had this article. Priest accuses Cardinal Fernandez of heresy and challenges him to a public debate. I thought that was funny. All right, you're gonna get us a strike if you play the Sarah McLachlan song.
Yeah, you're right. I can't play that one.
You can't do that. All right, so Father Jesus Mary. I'm not even gonna try that last name.
He's avoiding Babylon for 15 cents per day.
15 cents per day. You guys can feed Rob.
For 15 cents per day.
You can feed our families. You know what, man? If you guys like our show, you should be supporting it. Come on. It's a lot of garbage you guys spend your money on. Help your friends out.
Well, now you're being accusatory. Don't you think that's a little much?
All right. So listen.
Just
so Father Jesus Mary urges Cardinal Fernandez to abandon the path of heresies and invites him to organize a public debate regarding Pope Francis's errors in a new essay.
I can see why you didn't say that.
Yeah, I'm not going to ever get that name.
Sigbito?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Have fun with that. All right. I pray to God to help me write to you in the truth with all the charity I can muster, in the hope that soon you will be willing to abandon the path of heresies and resolutely take the path of truth. What great joy you would give to all the faithful children of God if you did so. In fact, God always leaves the door to repentance open for his children who are mistaken, and in his great mercy he never tires of calling them to conversion. I have not come to call the righteous to repentance, but sinners. Repent and believe in the gospel. So where's this guy from?
That's a good question. I don't even know what language that last name is in.
Yeah, I don't know where this guy's from, but there was another
I
priest.
thought you were supposed to have read the article.
I didn't read it.
Of course.
There was another priest who wrote like an open letter to Francis recently saying he's in San Francisco, saying how difficult Francis is making his task as a parish priest because people are coming up to him and basically saying, I have a daughter who's at college.
Nigeria. It's from
Nigeria. He's from Nigeria. So yeah, so this priest in San Francisco wrote an open letter saying, you're making my job as a priest very difficult, Francis. I have parishioners who are saying their children are struggling with SSA and they're coming to me and saying, but even Pope Francis says this stuff is okay now. You see that Whoopi Goldberg's going to meet Pope Francis because regardless of...
Hey, she was a religious sister once upon a time. You show her respect.
Yeah. That was such a different time. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
it wasn't even that long ago.
No, I was a kid like that. Wasn't even
in the 90s.
Before my time.
It was 90s, but still, it just was a very different time where it was anything before the like O2 story, right? The big Boston Globe story that came out.
Yeah.
Like everything before that, like the church commanded a certain kind of respect where they would actually speak positively about the church in public, where there's just no respect whatsoever left for the church.
Do you think if we wrote an open letter to Francis, we could have a website publish it?
I think if we wrote an open letter, we'll get LifeSite to publish it. They'll publish anything that
Dear Pope Francis, thank you for giving us so much material to use on our show.
It's actually kind of true. Look at how low the viewers are on a show where we just goof around.
I know. Margot, this is for you. I hope you're happy.
Yes, we were. You know what we have? October 24th, Daniel O'Connor. And then October 26th, we have Nancy Charles.
Have you seen that book? Have you seen Daniel's book?
It's 1,000 pages. It's crazy.
I just got it in the mail yesterday. It's
crazy.
Daniel, I'm not reading that before the 24th. I'm sorry, sir.
Don said you might get the AB website to publish it if you like.
No, because I'm too lazy. I haven't updated the website in like 3 months.
Help you. Listen, the funniest thing is like, especially on when I do you know how
Benedict the
many
17th would cripple this
but do
channel.
you know how many Catholic podcasters owe their entire existence to Francis?
Well, I mean, there's one called Crisis.
Well, wait, yeah, but when did they start?
I
How
don't
old
know.
is
It was
Crisis?
probably before the 13th.
Yeah, it was before. That was before Benedict. I'm just
the
talking about
rails
like
this first
the idea
family.
of the YouTube personality, but I don't know if that's so much necessarily because of Francis or the technology, right? Really, the
Yeah.
OGs with Tim and Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
That's when everything started taking off on YouTube. It was TNT show. That's when everybody started searching for Catholic content on YouTube. Before that, I never really, you might catch like EWTN reruns, things like that, or clips from there, but nobody was looking for a strictly Catholic personality.
I did not watch. Well, I did not watch. You're welcome, Margot. I did not watch Catholic stuff on YouTube at all until after the first Latin Mass I went to. I was like, if I wanted to go to another, how the heck do I follow along? Like,
Yeah.
what is happening? So I searched for videos on that. Found the one with Taylor and Salmons talking about how to live as traditional.
That was
Catholic.
such a good show. If you guys never watched that one, that's one of my favorite shows on YouTube of all time. Because what it is so Taylor had Eric Salmons on, and Taylor thought they were going to talk about the Latin Mass, and Eric flipped it on him. And he goes, no, it's about living a penitential life. And they just started going through all these different things that you should be doing if you want to call yourself a traditional Catholic. You can't just go to the Latin Mass and say you're a traditional Catholic. You have to live a certain way and do these certain things and live a penitential life. That's really what it means to be a traditional Catholic, regardless of liturgy.
Yeah. So Crisis
started the year I was born.
Now the Remnant. So the Remnant split from their previous paper, but if you go from the previous paper, like the Wanderer, that started back in like the 1800s.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they split because of Lefebvre consecrating those bishops.
Yeah, so the Michael Matt's father died, I think, or maybe it was the grandfather. So then it was two brothers running it. I think it was Michael's dad and Michael's uncle running it, and then Lefebvre. Yeah, I don't know if it was the consecration that split, or I think it was just after the Novus Ordo was promulgated. I think that's actually when it split.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Remnant split off from the Wanderer.
Yeah, that stuff's in Michael Matt's genetics, man. His family's just been in it, and you see his son Walter works with him now, and he's doing it. So we're very late to the game, very late to it. But you could see, like under Francis, you saw even Catholic Answers had a bit of a split where Patrick Coffin had to leave. A schism happened under Francis. It's not material yet, but you had a fracture happen.
It's material. It's not formal.
Oh, okay. That's what it is. Okay. So material, not formal, where there are people who just are very uneasy with Francis. And then there are the people who aren't paying attention. And then there are the people who love him, but they love him not because they love him because they think he's going to upend everything. Not because they love the Catholic faith and they love the Pope. Most people most people love Francis isn't because they love the Catholic faith and they love the Pope. It's because they want the Catholic.
They actually hate the concept of a Pope. They just like the one that's doing destroy it all for them.
Yeah, doing what they think they would want if they were the Pope. Oh man, yeah, it's wild times, man. You think I think COVID had a big part in this stuff too, though, because people were trapped in their houses watching nonstop YouTube videos, and so you saw a lot of channels blow up during that time. That's when I started my channel. Mine was really after COVID, though. It was 2021 when the mandates started coming out.
Keith Nestor started the
rosary
on YouTube every day. I mean, yeah, lots of stuff.
I wonder
Catholic started right before COVID, right? 2019.
Was it that late?
I think it was the summer or fall of 2019, I thought.
I wonder what the next iteration is.
Iteration of what? COVID?
Of like technology. No, not COVID. Of technology. Like, what's the next thing that's coming up? You know, but like you're even the thumbnail you used tonight, right? Was an AI image of a DeLorean in front of St. Peter's.
Yep.
The technology changed. It's so strange that me and you, just two guys, are now broadcasting and people tune into us.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to talk to him.
Yeah, before he went on, I even told him to give us a shout out. He gave Lofton a shout out. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah, what if the next iteration is EMP? It's just gone.
Well, the thing is, if you think about what technology does, right? It's one of those things where the more technology you get, like the more powerful it makes you, but the more dependent on it you are, right? So if you think about even simple things, man, simple things like our ancestors 100 years ago knew how to build a home. They knew how to actually build a home. They could build a little log cabin in the middle of nowhere like it was nothing. Now you just press you make a phone call and you can do all these things. Even fire, right? Fire, we have a lighter. You just flick a lighter and you light a fire. Plus,
how many people can actually start a fire that's going to last with a lighter?
I would hope most men can do that. If you're a man and you don't know how to light a fire that's going to last, there's some problems.
Get on that.
But the point is, if technology fails, we're so dependent on the internet at this point. If there is an EMP, you would see mass starvation within 3 days. You would see utter chaos, complete mayhem. The whole thing comes crashing down in 3 days. There'd be no food deliveries. Everything is dependent on the internet. You're not getting food anywhere. Every single delivery is on these systems now. It's crazy that even 25 years ago, you still could have, because if you look at the way the attack on Israel was able to happen was because they weren't using phones to do like the intelligence agencies are so, I mean, unless they let it slip through purposely, but let's just say
I wasn't going to say that, but
hypothetically, the way they could do something like that is because they're so dependent on their intelligence agencies using these things that if you want to plan something, you just don't use these, it'll go right over their radar. They'll never catch it. Yeah. They did I don't know where the heck I heard this. I just heard this the other day. They were doing like a war game scenario, and they had some old guy who was like 85 years old, and he beat all these young kids because he just wrote a note, stuck it in somebody's pocket, and the guy took the note and he was able to get the plan to go through because they're looking on all their devices trying to intercept the technology. When the guy just like put a note and he's like, yeah, go ahead, take it. And the guy went and took the note and they were able to get their plan off. Not a single American is starving within 3. That's not what I mean. I don't mean actually they'll be starving.
You mean within 3 days they're going hungry?
Well, more than that, there's mayhem in the streets because they don't have another meal lined up. They'll be out of food. They'll be out of food in 3 days. Now,
for instance,
longer.
Katrina, remember Katrina?
Yeah.
How long did stuff stay somewhat law and order? It was like you said it was like 3 to 5 days. And then things just went.
Looting started and all that stuff. During Sandy, so I live on an island, and it scares me to live on an island now because I'm on Long Island. And during Sandy, they shut the bridges and tunnels down. And we had massive power outage on Long Island. So all the food goes bad. Now no food could get delivered onto the island because they have the bridges and tunnels shut down. And it was just thank God it didn't last too long, because you could just see being trapped on an island, how scary a thing like that is. I always like that I have a boat that if I had to get out of here, I could. But even if I get off the island and I go mainland, what do I do when I get off the boat?
What happens if you forgot to fuel up the boat last time?
I mean, I could still get to Connecticut, even on a quarter tank. Connecticut's Connecticut's a close run. It's about a 25-minute run. So I could get off the island, but what do I do when I get off the island?
Yeah.
Walk, you just start hoofing it? Like, go where? If there's real chaos and there's real problems going on, I don't know.
See, I'm up in the middle of nowhere. So, I mean, you're right. We still wouldn't get food deliveries. There's not a ton of agriculture up here, so there's not a lot of farms. But we're like the number one, like, outdoor outfitting spot in the country. So I just drive to an outfitter, and they have just rooms filled of prepackaged, freeze-dried food.
Not just that, you could probably hunt within.
Yeah, there's a bear that walks down the street every night, Like,
yeah. So you could hunt. Now, the thing is, me and you were talking about this. Neither of us have ever actually gone hunting.
No.
And I want to, not so much for the hunting. I think the hunting I could pull off. It's the gutting and cleaning the animal and the processing the animal and making sure just that whole processing the meat thing, to not know how to do that, right? Because our technology that we're so dependent on, I go to the supermarket, I get meat, I come home, I bring it home. I do this new meat delivery thing now because meat is so expensive. It's crazy.
Is that the thing your brother Joey was talking about too?
Yeah, similar. He does like a meat box. I mean, something similar. So I spent like $130 and they give you like 25 different things to choose from. And you just get a delivery and it comes once every 2 weeks. There's enough food for 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, it just, and the meat is really good. You can pick which meats you want and all these different packages and stuff, but I'm so dependent on that. Right. So that's also online. That goes away. I hate saying this publicly, but I mean, I have those months of food supply,
You bought the Mormon food?
Is that what that is? Mormon food?
Well, most of those prepping food
really are
Mormon.
Well, it's not because I'm worried about the end of the world. It's because sometimes it rains, right? Like sometimes you get a Hurricane Sandy.
No, I mean, it's not a bad idea to have.
Just God forbid.
Right. Now,
if you
have them down in a bunker, dug out under your own home secretly or something like that, still not a terrible idea, but a little weird.
You're in the middle of nowhere. You don't have to worry about any of this. Tomorrow's October 13th, where they're telling everybody to do terror attacks in the city. My biggest fear is something major happening in the city while I'm at work. And my wife's out here on the island and she's not affected and I leave her abandoned, that scares me.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Does she know how to use the shotgun you have?
No, she doesn't. I think most people at this point, water is important. Water is more important. You could go a very long period of time without food.
Few weeks, yeah.
More than that. I mean, first off, I talk about the show Alone all the time, right? We just watched the Australian version. It's still going. There's like 2 episodes left. So a typical season of Alone runs close to 100 days, where you start off with 10 people. They're alone, legit alone. They just have motion sensor cameras. They have GoPros, things like that. They stick them in the middle of nowhere, and usually one person gets knocked out in the first week because they're just terrified. They had no idea what they were getting themselves into. Then usually around like 3 or 4 weeks, another person gets knocked out, but it goes around 80 to 100 days almost every season. I think the shortest season was 76 days. Alone Australia, it's episode 8. Now, typically episode 8 for the American or Canadian version, it's day 70, day 75.
And usually the way they structure it, that's in the dead of winter.
Yes. So now Australia, they're in I forgot what part of Australia, Tasmania, like this Tasmanian devils and things like that there. So Anthony alone in Duluth. So it's episode 8 and it's only day 24.
What?
Day 24.
Why?
There's two or three people left.
I would have figured without a winter, because it's the winter that always does them in.
Always.
Right?
It's always
that's
the winter
always
and starvation. So now 7 people bailed within 14 days.
Wow.
Or
Were there a lot of
people,
injuries and stuff?
No, none. Not
now,
a single injury.
Are they all Australians?
All Australians.
Okay, so that's the issue. Australians are just weak.
Listen to me, the men.
Joe.
I've never seen men this weak. One of them, the guy just kept crying, and I'm like, "Get a hold of yourself, brother! What are you doing? You're on camera."
Anthony's like, "Don't you know the list of approved reasons for crying?"
My PTSD. I don't know. My PTSD. I have to go home. The Australian accent, if you're not used to it.
That was way better than what you did in front of Fred.
Well, I've been watching Australian accents every week. I've been watching Australian accents, so it's a little bit better. Yeah, so they're down to 3 people now. There's no way this is going to be the first season that a woman wins, because the chick that's on there is just tough as nails, and she's got a food source. She's tough as nails. The thing is, with men and women, with the American and Canadian versions, the women are more emotionally equipped to be alone. It's a very strange thing. They're just, especially if they don't have kids at home, a woman can last 100 years alone. They're crazy. They're just fine being alone. A man has this burning desire to take care of something. So their families at home, you just see men break down around.
Well, that and there's been very few men on that show that didn't have a family, whereas
correct
75% of the women they've had on the show were, single cat ladies.
Yeah. They're hippies. That's 100% correct. So, but men, if you have a family at home, your desire to be home and caring for your family just kicks in so hard around day 35, day 40. And you just see guys that are doing well in the show. They have food. They're great. They're just like, I have to go home to my family. I can't stay here.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing that happens. All right. You want to jump over to locals for a little bit?
Do we have stuff to talk about on locals?
Or you want to just wrap it? I'm pretty tired.
Yeah, I think we can just wrap it.
We can wrap it. We had a great show the other night. Yeah, all right. If you guys want to go check out the Hitchborn episode before we get the edited version up, go check it out on Locals. It's one of our best shows.
Yep. Let me put that up real quick.
Do we have any new Apple reviews?
Oh, that's a good thing to check.
Don, why am I paying for Locals again?
Because you're our friend.
Oh,
no,
God.
the last one was the "You're Not a Good Catholic Man" one.
Okay. All right, guys, go leave us an Apple review if you have not done that yet. Trash us, make fun of us, especially this episode, which is weak at best.
Well,
Rob's falling asleep.
I am pretty tired. Well, I just know I got a lot to do for that to get that episode up.
All right, so Tuesday, I promise you guys, we'll come back with some fresh stuff. We'll hit something topical. We'll try to get a good show.
Try to get a guest show.
Yeah, we'll get it. So October 24th, we have Daniel O'Connor coming back on. The 26th, we have the Nancy Charles interview. Nancy Charles is going to be a good one. She was basically transgender, and she came into the church. So she was about to end her life. More or less prayed to God, like, if you're real, show me something, and then found in her nightstand a rosary that her brother had given her, that Joshua Charles had given her. And that was crazy.
That was how it started.
I'm going to try and get Josh on next week to discuss the proper role of Israel in the end times.
That'll be a good one.
Or the proper role of Judaism in the end times. Margo,
You
you think we don't want to get Knowles? Like, come on.
we've been trying.
You think I don't want to get Knowles? Come on. We'll figure something out. We'll get something good going for next week. All right, sorry guys, we could have done better for you tonight. I got in very late. I want to go see my fam. I haven't seen them. So we will wrap this one up. We will see you guys on Tuesday.
Yep. See you guys.
Sounds good. Ooh, that's a good one.